So welcome to Kinalia, Caring at the Speed of Life. This is a set of tools and a platform designed around the needs of patients and caregivers. And really, the important thing is that it operates along the whole arc of life and care cycle. So I wanted to start by saying what Kinalia is not, which is it's not a competitor to Epic or McKesson or anything else in the EMR or EHR workspace. It's not anything that competes with practice management software. As a matter of fact, it has very little footprint inside either a hospital or a doctor's office practice. It's actually designed around the needs of the patient and the people that care with and for the patient. And it's really along the lines of this quote from Richard England. I wanted it to be a force from the outside, driving the innovation and driving change. So my name is Phil Marnell. I have a few minutes of business and technology experience in a lot of different areas, many different programming languages, several different industries. And I came across a problem. And that problem is that when it comes to delivering healing energies, when it comes to the focus on the patient and the caregiver, there are some gaps that I think could be addressed. And let's just start from this standpoint. Maybe you have been here, shared a similar experience when you're in the middle of a crisis or a medical emergency, and you're trying to manage the difficulty and at the same time having a hard time reaching family members or caregivers to assist. In my experience, your mind actually then races forward to what are we going to do on the other side of this? How are we going to handle this? And this recently happened, so a few years ago this happened, and it struck me that there had to be a better way. With the tools at hand, I actually created what turned out to be a much better way. For those of you who are interested, this is actually WordPress, which was the beta and also the MVP platform. And it's built around a theme that lends itself very well to real-time communication and threaded discussion. So with that in mind, let's talk about then what Kinalia really is. It's a set of platforms, it's a set of tools and a platform based on basically three prevailing items, which is optimizing the patient outcome. Everything you can do to optimize the patient outcome. Everything we can do to lower stress on caregivers. And that may extend into nurses or doctors, but certainly in tandem. And also the coordination of care and delivery. And some technical aspects include the ability to share information in a real-time mode. I also wanted it to be private and secure, completely off social media. And if you look at to the right of the screen, you see some real feedback from a user. And this particular element was one of the things that made me think I should look further into this. At the time, the product was called 7Care, but thanks to creative post in 2020, I renamed it to Kinalia. But you see, like I said, this was the most important thing that made me keep looking at this. So that's what Kinalia is currently. In the future, one of the things I think we have to offer is the ability to provide continuity. In other words, the end of an incident, the end of an episode doesn't necessarily mean the end of the experience. And continuity would say that the next time there's another episode, the caregiver network is already in place. Maybe the track record of the previous episodes are also already in place. Beyond that, I'd like for it to expand into a delivery platform to partner with, once we hit penetration in our market space, partner with providers of things like virtual reality, amplify and participate certainly in approaches like Nurse Included and explore the ability for other platforms to update directly to the caregiver group, and eventually also use the data that they're de-identified for and use that with AI to predict outcomes. In the realm of traction, this is real world. This is the this is the third iteration of this iteration 0 was that first item there might be a little subjective, but I can say that the other 4 items were dead on, that there were actually benefits that accrued from us as a family using this. The second iteration, like I said, was in 2020 at the Creative Coast. Across the board, everyone I interviewed in the healthcare profession thought this was a good idea. Very few were ready to buy it, though. But the most illuminating thing came out of Emily, who used it, and you see her quote there. If the facility had suggested it, we would have all used it, which told me that it can be sold, but you have to sell at the top. So what is selling at the top? It means selling through and to large healthcare organizations. The product is private labeled by those organizations, and installation and support provided by Kinalia. And we use distributed ledger technology. This is kind of a flip-flop on HR and EMR, in that we let the patient with providers if we do this right. In terms of competition, there are 2 main competitors. One is the status quo. Texting works for family vacations. It's really a brittle thing to use in a critical environment like this. Facebook and WhatsApp. WhatsApp is blocked actually in healthcare in some parts of Europe so far. In the background there, you see the recent drop dead memo from Facebook about adopting their terms of rel. In addition to that, there was the demonstrated product success in phase 0, unquestionable. A lot of insight came from the 2020 Creative Coast discovery, and I call that iteration 1. My own sales and technical background and experience. It's also a specialized use that would be hard for large health organizations to address. It would probably call for almost a paradigm shift for them to even look at things this way. And it's also timely appearing as COVID begins to abate and people begin to ask what could we do better. So the ask is for, this is an initial stage, $100,000 for branding, marketing, and sales, build out the web and the app DLC version, and really building a team that's going to tackle this. I'm open to terms, receptive to advice and counsel. So in summary, basically, it's all about the patient, caregivers, and improving outcomes. And this is important. Kinalia is around the arc of the long arc, the narrative of the long arc of patient healthcare. That's important. It's private, it's secure, it's off social media, private labeled in large healthcare organizations. It allows movement between healthcare organizations. It is also a forward-looking interface platform to partner with providers and leverage AI over de-identified data. This is Kinalia, carrying at the speed of light. My contact information is there, and I look forward to talking with you about ways to make something dependable and reliable. Thanks.